Well, Mr. Lukman Dauda joins us now. He's the president of the Nigeria Publishers Association, and we're going to be talking about this controversy that exists between Nigerian Publishers Association and the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, the NERDC, over a new policy direction which was announced with regards to standardizing textbook selection and improving learning outcomes across Nigeria. Now, we understand that the central feature of the policy is the ranking of educational textbooks intended for use in basic and secondary schools across Nigeria. We understand also that the Nigerian Publishers Association have rejected this particular policy, calling for its immediate withdrawal. The conversation we are having with Mr. Dauda Lukman is why. Good morning, Mr. Lukman. It's good to see you in our studios in Lagos. I think that this is a real big issue. Your press statement was quite detailed in terms of the why, but help Nigerians understand. Is it that you're hoping that some people will be producing substandard textbooks, or you're only worried about the publishers, some publishers who might not be producing what will be considered standardized, surviving?
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure to have me on your studio in Lagos. Yeah, the issue we have has nothing to do with any fear about any publisher producing low standard books. No, we as publishers, we have always produced, books that have met the standards prescribed by the NRDC over the years. The challenge we have is the approach about the policy, the timing, the cost implication, and even the economic implication of the whole policy. There's no problem about trying to reform education and ensuring that books meet the prescribed standard by either the Federal Ministry of Education or the NRDC. The NRDC has always been saddled with that particular task of ensuring that all books written conform with the contents of the curriculum produced or developed by NRDC. And I can assure you that over the years, publishers have always met these standards. And that is why, over the years, schools have continued to use our members' books and have been using, their students have been using that to pass various exams, both locally and internationally. So we are not against any reform, but we are against the approach that the Federal Ministry of Education has adopted in this particular policy. So many things have issues on the policy, and then we have engaged the NRDC, who was assigned to meet with us by the Federal Ministry of Education. We have made several attempts to meet the Federal Ministry of Education itself, the minister or the permanent secretary, any director that is involved in the development or the curriculum aspect of education in Nigeria at the ministry level. None of that has ever materialized. But we are lucky to have met the NRDC several times to engage on this particular issue. But rather than listening to us, it appears that the policy appeared to have been concluded even before any engagement was being talked about. So that is the issue. It has nothing to do with our fear about any publisher producing lower standard books. No, we have always that quality books with quality contents.
Well, when I raised that particular issue, I looked at the details of your press conference and what you had enumerated as the objections that you have with it. Some of the challenges you think could confront this new policy of government. And you talked about, of course, how you've sought audience and eventually was able to meet with the NERDC, as you have now admitted. But some of your objections was that this new policy will encourage bias. It creates winners and losers, and the consequence is huge unemployment. You gave a little more detail to that particular issue or that particular point. You say such a policy effectively creates a winner-takes-all publishing environment that could drive many legitimate businesses into extinction. The economic investment, employment, and industry-wide consequences of such a policy are very humongous and appear not to have been adequately considered by the Federal Ministry of Education. While there are many other things that you listed, I think for me, reading this, I think that this is the most prominent of the issues, because here you're also talking about the survival of some of your members.
Yes, that is one of them. Making reference to my press conference, there are some other issues that were actually mentioned. When you talk of ranking, there has always been assessment made by NRDC. When any curriculum, any book is developed, it is sent back to NRDC for assessment to ensure compliance with the contents of the curriculum. And if there are gaps, NRDC will observe these gaps, indicate where the publisher has to go and make the corrections to be able to meet the standard. That has always been the tradition. But a situation whereby you are now introducing, benchmark of ranking, I mean, you are turning it into a serious competition, and a situation that makes it only affordable for the highest bidders. If you go through my press conference, you will realize that I made an analysis that anybody that wants to go for assessment and ranking and is desirous of producing all the books against all the 88 subjects we have is going to spend over almost 134 million naira. That is a design for the highest bidder. I mean, publishers are struggling. Where did you expect them to get that kind of money? And you are still talking of affordable books. How will books be affordable when a large chunk of that money has gone into the preliminary areas of assessment and ranking? When you talk of ranking, there's no way you will not introduce, I mean, bias will not be entirely excluded. Because we are talking of rank, I mean, just let me put it this way. We have about 92,000 private schools in Nigeria. Then you now call and say, look, out of these 92,000 private schools, that we only need about 10,000. And for anybody that will meet that benchmark, you have to bring in 5 million naira to be able to assess to be part of that 10,000. What are we talking about? You are already commercializing it. You are already making it very difficult. You don't do that kind of a thing in a country of almost 60 million student population. 60 million student population. Okay. So that is the issue we are talking about. There's bound to be external influence. There's bound to be bias. The policy, on its own doesn't look workable in the Nigerian system, at least for now.
Yeah, Mr. Dauda, I do not know what exactly is obtainable now. I mean, it was a long time that I was in primary or secondary school. But we do know that even in that time, that, across the country, today, if you say CD is a girl or CD does her hair, there are certain passages in, say, English textbooks that people in my generation, all commonly use. But it doesn't appear that that is the case today. Do you think that somehow we have sacrificed standards on the altar of, oh, let us just make something for everybody because there's so many people? And at the end of the day, so many people are not getting the sort of education, the minimal education that at least they should get.
Well, I want to say no to that. No, we still, whatever we write as publishers, we have a guide. That is the contents of the curriculum that was developed by government. And when I say government, I'm talking of NRDC. The standard has been set through the curriculum. So any book that gets itself into the school must have met that contents or the standard set by the curriculum. If for any reason there's any book that is found to be far below that, it is for the government to enforce, the compliance. Any book that doesn't meet that compliance, standard should be removed from the school project. It should be removed from the school system. So I think it has to do with enforcement. I mean, whatever we are talking about, people still read our books, sit for WAEC pass, sit for JAM pass. What are we talking about? So I don't understand, the same thing we are using then, in those days is the same thing we are using now. The standard has improved over the time. And it is the same NRDC that continue to improve the curriculum to accommodate new developments, to accommodate what is evolving in the education sector. So that is the way it works, and we have always complied with that. So it has nothing to do with maybe just making food available for everybody or making business available to everybody at the expense of standards. No, the standards are still being met. Anyone that doesn't meet the standard, let them enforce it and remove such from the system. Rather than saying out of almost 200 or more educational books publishers in Nigeria, we are now talking of, okay, and maybe and picking through the so-called ranking system about 10 or 7 publishers to take care of the school needs or book needs of almost 60 million students. I mean, that is far from reality. Far from reality.
Mr. Dauda,
yeah.
Mr. Dauda, for the Ministry of Education, you know, well, this could be exactly what you're doing. You said in your statement here that you do not have any problems. You support genuine reforms that are aimed at improving the quality and standard of education in Nigeria. Somebody say this new policy is a way of creating a standard that brings the best to the Nigerian student. And I'm listening to a lot of the things that you're saying. You're asking them to reconsider the policy. And you're saying that what you're upset about is a borrowed policy framework that does not reflect Nigeria's realities and that threatens competition, innovation, access, affordability, constitutional principle, and the sustainability of the publishing industry. So it does sound in many ways like you're looking at the industry and the success of that interest in industry, while the Ministry of Education is looking at the standard of books that we're giving our children in schools. How do you want to be able to manage this balance? Because while you're talking about your members and how, you know, we cannot, you know, how many people are going to throw out of the market, there's the fact that standardization is actually the purview of the Federal Ministry of Education.
Sorry, you see, when you talk of standard, see, let me put it this way. The education project in Nigeria, you know, requires the involvement of so many people. The Education Ministry, which is the policy maker, we have the other stakeholders, publishers, authors, booksellers, so many other people in the education ecosystem. So when we are talking of publishers, that is just one partner. I can tell you that it's as if other stakeholders do not understand what is into this particular policy, that it is only publishers that appear to be crying foul now. No, you see, others probably do not understand it. But we have taken the lead. And I believe over time, in the next few days, I believe others will start to see reason why they should talk, they should speak out too. What we are talking about has nothing entirely with publishers alone. We are talking of the future of our children. We are equally parents. We are not just business people. We make a lot of sacrifice in our contribution towards education in Nigeria. Whatever curriculum that is produced, it cannot be taught in the classrooms until books are developed out of that curriculum. Who developed these books? The publishers. So don't see us as just business people. No, we are principal stakeholders. So when we are crying foul, they should listen and listen to what we are saying, whether there's any sense in what we are saying. We are not just talking from the point of view of our own business. No, we are talking from the point of view of the generality of the Nigerian people, of the future of our children. So we are talking of, okay, how do we ensure that our educational standard is improved? Yeah, we said we don't have any issues with any improvement or reform that improves standard. Whatever is on ground, the assessment process that is on ground, if there's any issue with that, let's sit down. What is wrong with this? Let's strengthen it and improve upon that. But when you introduce ranking and you introduce cost for the ranking, you know, they are not compatible. It's counterproductive. It's going to lead to, you know, subjectivity. It's going to lead to bias, and it's going to lead to what we said, you know, winner takes all kind of a thing. And when you look at the total cost implication, that is just one aspect. When you look at the total cost implication, it is very, very, you know, humongous, very high. Apart from that, we mentioned
quickly,
this.
Mr. Dauda, if you can do this in 30 seconds. You have since released this press statement, and you are now on television. Has there been any reaction by the Ministry of Education or the NERDC to some of the things that you have now said in your press release?
Well, so far, we haven't had anything. We have not received anything from them. We believe that, you know, the engagement we had with them was more or less a kind of deceit, because after the engagement, nothing was done. They still went ahead with whatever they wanted to do. So it was like a kind of political propaganda just to show that they've engaged with stakeholders and publishers in particular. So we didn't count that one as engagement because we put in a lot of input during the engagement process. And they gave us assurance that, okay, they will look into this. Nothing was looked into. So we are talking about, the education improvement in Nigeria. There's going to be scarcity of books. It's not, there's no way 10 or 7 people can supply the educational needs, the book needs of children in Nigeria. Even now that we are more, we have not been able to, achieve that. How much more? When there are some unpicked, we will call unpicked, because the process for the ranking is still very much shrouded in secrecy. Nobody knows. And when you are asking people to come and pay for ranking, it's just like when you are asking private university or private schools in Nigeria to come and pay, for you to rank. When you now rank, are you now saying that people should now choose from one university or one secondary school to the other to go because some have been ranked out of this standard, and they are no longer useful for the education of the country. So that's what we are talking about. When you say ranking and you unpick about 7 or 10 people, there's no way they can meet the education standard, the book needs of the country, no doubt. So there's going to be scarcity.
Well, Mr. Dauda.
Yes.
We really do hope that the Ministry of Education will get some response from them and the NERDC on why they've taken these steps and perhaps their justification in their engagement with you and why they're going ahead in spite of some of the objections that you have raised. But we're hoping that the best outcomes for Nigerian students and our educational sector will be something that we all are able to achieve at the end of the day. We have to thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Lukman Dauda is the president of the Nigeria Publishers Association. Thank you so much once more.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Well, that's what... Indeed, we wish you the same. Well, that's where we draw the curtains on today's program. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Maokbe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Kayla Magwa. Business Morning is at the top of the hour. Have a great day ahead.